So let's take a minute. I found these these little clips here on Google, and there's a lot of people out here that are, that speak on their truth and speak on how they overcome their situations. Don't ever be ashamed of speaking your truth and telling people how you feel. I don't know what the heck is that. My Bluetooth picked up on somebody's headphones. That's some weird stuff. All right, so let's watch this video. Let's react to this real quick.
I'm in an ocean, and there's too much water. And there's this horrible retching, gagging noise, and I can't breathe. I think that I'm dying. It hurts so bad. I think that I'm dying. And that is what I remember about what it felt like to be raped. In the United States of America, someone is sexually assaulted every 98 seconds. So before you zone out in the assumption that you've heard all of this,
like I just told y'all, at every second of the hour, there's somebody being sexually assaulted and we don't know who it is. So for those people out here bashing those people, y'all need to think about it twice. Because when it happens to someone y'all love, that's when y'all want your voice to be heard. And then y'all get mad when the you is pulled on you. But in reality, what it is karma knocking at your door.
this before, or that this is unrelated to you, don't. It is extremely likely that you know someone who has been sexually assaulted or raped, whether or not you are aware of it. Before I move on, I want to make it very clear that I do not speak for everyone. Thanks to the Me Too movement, sexual assault has become a national conversation. Today, I hope to discuss some of the effects of sexual assault that aren't talked about as frequently and how to overcome them. But I first want to acknowledge that every rape survivor and every person has had a different experience than I. What I say today may only apply to me, but I hope that by sharing my experiences, I can help someone, or at least allow them to view rape and the mental illnesses that it may cause in a different light. Something that isn't often talked about is that rape is very different from many other crimes because the victim can never really leave the scene of the crime. The most private parts of you have been attacked, and you may never truly feel the same again. Today, I am going to tell you how I believe that I've changed my mentality from a victim of rape to a survivor of rape. But I am not going to pretend that it doesn't still affect me. I don't always feel like a survivor, and that is okay. Becoming a survivor is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing battle that often feels uphill. For weeks, months,
and that's why I told y'all, it's not easy battling this. It's not something that's easy to talk about. And when the people are ready to talk about it, let them talk about it. If you got something to say, wait until they're done. Take the time and listen to what they're saying before you sit here and you judge that book by its cover.
Even years, you will struggle with the memories and how you feel that they have changed you. But you will learn to cope with them. Coping with trauma is not easy, but it is possible. By definition, a victim is a person who has been harmed emotionally or physically as a result of a crime. And by definition, I am a victim. And I want to emphasize that there is nothing wrong with being a victim. And it is certainly never the victim's fault that they have been victimized. The reason that I decided I wanted to change my mentality from that of a victim to that of a survivor is because I didn't like the way that it felt to be a victim. It's not a good feeling.
It's not. For me, it was when people found out my situation, how they felt bad. They wanted to, give me pity. Like, no, don't do that. I had enough of that. I got this. Like, and that made me want to do it even more. Like, stand up for myself, speak up for myself. Like, don't feel pity for me. Like, I didn't understand what was happening to me, but the anger that I had in me was turning into hate towards this person. And if I wouldn't have listened to what my therapist was telling me, I could have sat here and been behind bars at a young age. I'm being very honest. Because when people find out what you go through, especially like that, they find out that you've been through some type of sexual assault. A lot of people, some would sit here and try to give pity. Others would try to sit here and challenge you, prove it to me. How, if this did happen to me, why you're not like this? If this happened to you, you gotta be a dyke. You gotta be. There's people that sit here and try to challenge, and I'm saying, I'm like, yo, if you only knew what was going through my mind, oh, I'm telling you, that's crazy because people can make you feel like that.
I became a survivor by recognizing that while I had been victimized, while someone at some point in my life had held power over me, they no longer held that power over me, which means that I no longer have to feel like a victim. But this change in my mentality did not occur overnight. As I said before, becoming a survivor is a long and ongoing process. A huge part of this change in my thinking was the question of why. When something terrible and traumatizing happens to a person, the first question that often comes to mind is why? Why did this happen to me? And what did I do to cause it? Blaming yourself and thinking about what you should have done differently in that situation is unfortunately very common. A big part of becoming a survivor is recognizing that there is no rational reason that human beings hurt other human beings. And even if there was, it would not change what happened to you, and it would certainly not change how you are recovering from it.
Facts. Everything she just said, total facts. Like, listen and pay attention carefully.
In order to truly heal, you need to stop asking yourself why something happened to you. You need to accept that there is no answer to this question.
That's the truth. In order for me to heal, I had to accept that. Like, I'm not ever going to understand why this man chose me, why this man chose my brother so that he could do the things that he did. Because I wasn't alone in this fight. He also did certain things to my brother. And it was crazy is my brother right now cannot even speak on it because he's deceased. He's not here no more. He can't even speak on his story. And I can't speak on his story because it's his story to speak on. But most I can say is, yeah, I wasn't the only one he did it to. It's been a couple kids that he was, but at the end of the day, when we had the how can I say it? When we had the time to get justice, it wasn't done right, and we was just kids to even understand or figure out how to get the proper justice at that time. It's the crazy part.
Coming to this realization was one of the most difficult things that I have ever done. For me, healing from my sexual assault would not have been possible without talking about it. Unfortunately, the majority of people are very uncomfortable talking about sexual assault and rape, which is understandable. It's a difficult topic to talk about, especially.
Facts. It's going to be a difficult topic to talk about, especially depending on what you went through and how you went through it. That's why at times when people are like, I've had people, can I get the details? I'm not going to go into details. One, how can I go into the details without breaking down crying because it's painful? Like, I can't, but I can go around. I can actually speak on the situation, right? And leave them details that are horrific out. I would have to. I wouldn't be able to speak on it.
Especially like for people who have experienced it. But the few people that do want to hear your story, they want to know every gory detail or they don't believe you. They want to know who did it, when it happened, where it happened, and then they want to pick apart each of your answers to these questions.
Facts. And there's people out here like that. Like, how can you do that? Like, you're re-traumatizing somebody. Do y'all not realize that? It's like having to go into court and speak on the whole story and go into details. You're reliving the situation. Y'all not understanding that part? You're making this person relive a nightmare all over again. Now, they're not just reliving it, right? When they reliving it, my bad, let me put it like this. When they're reliving this nightmare, now it's not just a thought. What they're seeing in their head, the images they're seeing actually feel real. When you're describing and going into details, you feel like you're at that moment in time. Who wants to go through that over and over again? And I know this because I've been there, done that. I went to court. I've had to repeat my story over and over again. My story didn't change. What happened with my situation was my mama messed up all for the love of the money. So that's the crazy part. Like, yo, you'll see it when somebody's lying, their story will constantly change. It doesn't stay the same, it changes.
Most of all, the people that you share your story with have the same unanswerable question that you, the survivor, does. Why? Why did that happen to you? As we've already been over, there is no rational reason that human beings rape other human beings. But here is why I think so many people react to rape survivors in this way. People often don't believe stories of rape because it's simply easier not to. They would rather accuse the victim of being at fault because it supports the idea that rape could never happen to them.
Facts.
If people accept that rape is not the victim's fault, they are accepting that they could just as easily become victims of rape themselves. This allows them to feel secure in the illusion that rape is preventable. Thinking, I would have done this or I would have done that if I was put in this situation, gives people control, when in fact, rape victims have no control at all. People will find any way that they can to blame the victim, but this solves nothing. The only way we, as a society, can truly help victims of this horrible crime is by blaming the rapist, always, never the victim. As a result of the rapes that I've experienced, I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Unfortunately, this is extremely common among victims of rape and sexual assault. In fact, according to RAINN, our nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization, 94% of rape survivors experience symptoms of
And that's a fact. I was diagnosed with PTSD, bipolar depression, bipolar itself, and I forgot what else it was. It was something else that I was diagnosed with when I went through the traumatic experience that I went through. And trust me, I was in and out of the hospital. I tried to take my life so many times because I didn't want to be here. And the crazy part about my situation is I'm here. I did things that other people have done in front of me and they're gone. And I'm sitting here. I used to think like that. Now I'm like, yo, I must be here for a reason. Everybody keeps saying it. You're here for a reason. You're here for a reason. What the reason is, I stopped asking it a long time ago. I stopped. Listen, man, I stopped worrying about what happened in my past. It happened. I can't change I can't change back time. And, knowing now what I know, give it to that younger me. Because if I knew, trust me, I would. But I can't. If I can go back to that younger me and say all the stuff that I know now, the younger me could have probably avoided what happened. But what is meant to happen is meant to happen. Why does it happen to little kids? Man, listen, man. You pay attention to the stories in the Bible that y'all love listening to so much. Y'all go back into the history books and all that. The kids were sacrificed back then, the babies and everything, for a lot of things. So for those of y'all that want to stay living in a fairy tale world, go ahead. My third eye is open. I'm woke. I'm not going to sit here and tell people, just go ahead and dwell, take pills, indulge in alcohol and just get screwed up. And yeah, that's how you got to live. Just live life like that. No, there's more to life than just to getting high and sitting here and, having self-pity and trying to figure ways how to kill yourself and you don't die, or sitting here how to just keep being more depressed and more depressed because this person is saying this to you or saying that to you. A person that really cared for you, or a person that really, loves you, would sit here and try to help you come out that depression. They would sit here and have patience with you. They won't sit here and put pressure on you. Know what you went through? No. But they'll take the time and sit here and have patience with you to help you come out of whatever it is that you're going through. And they will help you. Like, there's no answers on why people, like she said, there's no answers. Nobody has the answer on why, a rapist would grape somebody, why a molester would molest somebody. why a pedophile looks at kids the way they do. The real answer is nowhere out there. But if we do deeper research and, put two and two together, we could probably figure it out ourselves, but it's going to take a decade, probably years. Listen, man, this is crazy though. We just really got to pay attention and listen. Listen. Because yes, there are people out there that don't have true stories, and they'll sit here and play as a victim, and they'll use sexual assault as their story, and then mess it up for those out there that have really gone through it. That's the crazy part. And we can never answer why they did that. Why are they doing that? All I can sit here and say is that one thing that I've learned is there's only two sides to every story, good and evil. Where the side of good is fighting evil and the side of evil is fighting the side of good.
Post-traumatic stress disorder 2 weeks after the violence occurs. 9 months after the assault, 30% of rape survivors still experience these symptoms, showing that it is an extremely common result of sexual assault. By far, the most difficult part of having PTSD for me is the memory loss. Some days I've convinced myself that I made up all of the trauma in my head. The devastation lies in the idea that I do not know all of what has happened to me. It makes me feel very vulnerable. It's on top of the trauma, there's this horrible unknowingness. Everything comes back in bits and pieces that don't always fit together. There are many things that can trigger a flashback to a memory. Loud noises, arguments, movies. However, most of the time, I don't even know what triggers the flashback. It can happen anywhere and anytime, and suddenly I am out of my body. I am quickly...
And that's a fact. That's a fact. For those of y'all that, don't know that much, listen, man, when I go through them panic attacks and everybody's like, what you was thinking? I wasn't thinking about nothing. I swear, I'm sitting here. I could be doing schoolwork. I could be sitting here like editing a video, or I could be sitting here, how can I say, cleaning or cooking. I'm not thinking about the past, but for some reason, a million thoughts, a million memories, past, present, and future just pop up. And I'm sitting here, I'm trying to calm and, slow down my thoughts. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, why am I thinking like this? What the heck is going on? And then out of nowhere, here comes a memory. I'm like, this really happened? What happened? Oh, snap. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, who can I talk to? And I can only talk about it to the people that know what I've been through to get any type of answers when I go through that. Because it's like, I gotta know, it feels so real, but I don't remember it. And yes, what's crazy is it's on black and white. I suffer from, what is it called? Repressed memories. I do have them. There has been throughout the years a lot of things that have sat here and triggered something from the past. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, wow, I can't believe I really went through this. Damn, dog is about to have a whole lot. Run, blow, run. But yeah, remembering them type of memories is the worst thing. Nobody, unless you've been through this type of trauma, you won't understand what somebody that has been through sexual assault is feeling or thinking or going through.
Transported to a very painful time many years ago. The most difficult part of remembering is that it can be confusing and they don't usually come back as full memories.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just see flashes of things.
Like I just said.
The things that I'm experiencing don't make sense to the majority of people, and explaining them usually makes people uncomfortable.
Facts.
But I need to get them out of my head because I need to process my trauma in order to heal from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because of this, I have started a journal to write down the things that I remember. This way, I can process the way that they made me feel and finally begin to better heal from them.
Facts.
The different memories that I mentioned at the front or at the beginning of this conversation came directly from my journal. And as I'm sure you can see, they do not always paint the most vivid of a picture.
Mm-hmm.
They might not make any sense at all to someone who hasn't experienced them. However, writing down the things that I remember, no matter how...
And that's how it be. I think that the majority of the time, those that be sitting here and be bashing people are those that have never been through it, have never experienced it. And in their head, they just can't comprehend what somebody has been through. It's like a lot of people got in their head that there's no way possible that a man could get molested or a man can get raped. Yes, they can, especially if they're ganged up. And in jail, it happens a lot, especially if they be like, oh, a woman can't, grape a man. Yes, especially if she roofies him. A woman can grape a man. It has happened. There have been cases out there. But a lot of men don't want to speak on these stories because of how they get put down, how they get brought down. Oh, you're a man. You should have known what to do. You should have known how to fight. Well, if the man is drugged up, y'all telling me that he's gonna fight his aggressors while he's drugged up? Whether it was a woman or a man that did it to him? Come on, let's make it make sense. If they're not in their right state of mind, how are they going to do it? If you not in your right state of mind, can somebody please be very honest with me? If you're not in your right state of mind, are you going to be able to fight an aggressor that's trying to sit here and do that to you? And then when you're teamed up and you're ganged up, tell me, how does that happen? Just because you're a man, you should have been able to fight it off, huh? Come on, I hear so many things out here. Y'all really need to get your priorities and your morals on check, yo, because y'all really think that this world is a certain way and it's not.
How insignificant they may seem to others helps me gain a little bit of power and control back from the people who hurt me. The
Blessings, young Riaz. Blessings. How you doing?
biggest lesson that trauma and PTSD have taught me is that there is a great power in being vulnerable and a great power in being comfortable with your vulnerability. I spent many years trying to shut out the things that happened to me. When memories flooded in, I distracted myself because it's painful to think about. But I've realized that the only way that I can heal from my trauma is to talk about it and learn from it. There is no logical reason that my abusers hurt me, but bottling it up inside only allows them to continue to have power over me. Talking about my trauma, even when it's difficult, allows me to gain my power back. A huge lesson that all of this has taught me is the importance of self-validation. As I stated before, it's upsettingly difficult to be believed and validated when you come forward. The first time that I came forward to someone about sexual assault was in 7th grade. I talked to a girl who I thought and considered at the time a very close friend. She responded by calling me a whore.
You know what's crazy? My story is a little similar. First time I ever spoke to anybody about what was going on to me, it wasn't in 7th grade though. Wasn't in 7th grade. I was in Roberto Clemente. Oh, we was close. Yeah, I was what, like 10 or 11? I think I was in I was 10 or 11. I was either on the 5th or the 6th grade, one of the two. So I was in Roberto, right? And when I spoke to one of the girls and I told her what was going on in my house, she wanted to help me. But at the time, I didn't want no help. I was already lashing out. I was angry. Listen, I wasn't even paying attention in my classes. I was going to sleep in class because I didn't want to go to sleep at home. I would be escaping from my house so that, he wouldn't do the things that he did to me when my mom would leave. So I was doing a lot of crazy stuff. I had started smoking cigarettes. I had, started doing stuff that I wasn't doing before. I started lashing out towards my elders and stuff like that. And me and this girl had spoke, and she came and she went to the counselor and she said something to the counselor. The counselor came and she called social services. I had to speak to, a social worker, and I'm thinking that I was safe. I decided to open up my mouth and say what was happening to me in the house. Boy, when I tell you that when I got home, they had told my mom that the social worker was coming and everything that I said, and my mom lashed out. My mom, the way she reacted towards me, I retracted everything that I had said in the school to the social worker. And the next day, she 302'd my ass. So it's crazy how, even you thinking that you're doing the right thing, the ones that you love at times make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. And that's crazy. It shouldn't be like that, but it is. And when I tell you that that brought fear into me, because that man would sit here, and when I thought that, yo, they're not gonna do nothing. She took me out the house. All I kept thinking about was my brother. I kept thinking back when he did what he did years before that situation. And that was when I was 8 years old, when he had took out the belt and he had hit him, and then I had got in the middle and he had striked me. So it's kind of like, yo, it took me back to those memories. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have never said nothing. But a mom is not supposed to do that. A mom is supposed to protect you. A mom is supposed to, but she didn't. So that confused me. And I was looking at her like, are you going to really let him hurt me? You going to really let him do this to me? Like, do you know what's going on? And what's crazy is, yeah, in my head till this day, because when she passed away, she couldn't explain what was happening. Because when she passed away, she had a tumor, and like she not just had a tumor, she was going back in time. Like in her mind, like there were times where my sister would go visit her in the hospital, and there was a time where she thought my sister was me. And she sat here and apologized to my sister, thinking that my sister was me, telling my sister all this stuff. And my sister was confused, like, when did this happen to me? How? Mom, like, da da da. I had to sit here and break it down to my sister and explain to her that, what was it? She had Alzheimer's. Yeah, she was suffering from something like Alzheimer's. Like she was going back in the past. Um, and she was, calling us, like it's just crazy. Like at times she would think that I was one of my other sisters, but like that was the hardest thing I ever had to do, was to break it to my sister too. That's one of the hardest thing. Like I sat here and I'm like, yo, that's my story. Like I can't believe. I'm like, but I had to explain to her, like, yo, she's going through this, she's going through that, and right now she's mixing up her kids. She's thinking you're this person, she's thinking I'm this person. Like, yeah, I went through it before my mom passed away. Like, we were supposed to do a lot of things and we couldn't do it because by the time everything was set up to get done, she wasn't here no more. I was trying to get her to help, so she could be stable, but may she rest in peace. But, life with her wasn't easy, and all I wanted with her was a bond. Like, yo, just listen to me. I need you to listen to me. I need you to understand what I'm going through, because I'm not understanding what I'm going through, and I need you to explain it to me. Like, why is this happening? Why is this person doing this? Like, why do I feel so dirty? Why do I feel like this is not right? Like, why do I feel so much pain? Not just emotionally, but eternally. She didn't pay attention. And there's consequences to everybody's actions. Even though I think that man should have gotten the karma first, not my mama. At least she should still be here. But him, he shouldn't be here. It's crazy, right?
Unfortunately, this is not an uncommon response. I am very open about my experiences with sexual assault, as well as mental illness. And as a result, I've received a lot of criticism. I've had very close friends accuse me of lying about being raped. And I've had strangers online tell me that I couldn't possibly have PTSD because I haven't fought in a war. And I know that if any of these people knew anything about my memory loss, they would tell me that my trauma is not valid if I can't remember it perfectly. But these criticisms have only taught me that I don't need the validation of others as long as I have my own. I know who I am and what happens to me, and the beliefs of others can never change that.
Facts.
PTSD has also taught me that there is nothing shameful about having a mental illness. I once had a therapist become very angry with me for identifying as a rape survivor and identifying as someone who has PTSD. She accused me of stigmatizing myself because I shared this with others. However,
and that's how it be. Like, yes, there are therapists that do that. That's why if you feel as though that the therapist you're going to see when you're going to, talk to this person and let everything out, it's not the one for you, ask to change the therapist. You could change your therapist. You ain't got to be stuck with the therapist they give you when you go first make that appointment. No, you don't feel comfortable with this one, change it. There's going to be a therapist out there that's going to click with you and it's going to understand you and you're going to understand everything they're telling you.
I believe that the only way that we can begin to destigmatize mental illness and rape is by talking about it. Denying your trauma will never heal it. So, if you're someone who's experienced trauma, or if you can relate to anything that I've said today, I encourage you to try what I did. I urge you to buy a journal. Write down what you remember and spend time processing it so you can finally begin to heal. And then once you're comfortable enough, talk about it. Shame is an extremely powerful emotion that surrounds many victims of trauma.
And that's a fact. Listen, if you're not ready to talk about your trauma, don't go out there and, just blur things out or just talk about things. No, wait. If you're not ready, just wait. There's going to be a point in time where you are ready, where you're going to be able to express everything that you want to say so that the people can hear what you got to say. Like, there's a lot of people out here that'll, jump right into it. And instead of helping themselves, they jump in a bigger hole because they wasn't ready and they can't take back the lashback from people out there. Trust me, I know what I'm saying. Like, I had to learn how to deal with a lot of lashback. And it's not that I wasn't ready. I couldn't understand at one moment, at a certain point in time, why is it that people would come on here, right? If you don't care about what this person is going through, why sit there and listen? Take the time and even listen. Why waste your time? You would think that the people that care about these topics would be the ones that are sitting here listening to these type of topics and trying to grip what they can out of these topics. But no, you got people that allegedly say they don't care, or why is there people on here talking about this stuff, or that's not true, this can't be possible, you must show proof. No, it's not like that. Not everybody has to show proof about what they've been through. Their story alone should be enough. And if you can't tell when somebody's lying, that's on you. That's not on nobody else but you. There's people out here that want to, speak on their story to help the next person. They're not just speaking on their story. They're telling you how they overcame it. You don't have to do what they did. You see where I'm coming from? You don't have to do what they do. But you can sit here and listen to their story and grip something out of it, get something out of it, understand something out of it, learn something from it. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people are, then listen, man, you shouldn't even be here or on that type of channel that's talking about whatever you allegedly don't want to hear about. But you're there. You're listening and you're giving a comment. So that's showing that you must care, that you, how can I say it? Can relate, whatever, but you're there for a reason. Blessings, Sparky Madness. Blessings, how you doing? Hey girl, I'm shouting out your channel and restreaming you. Say hey, tell my audience what your channel talks about. Blessings, Sparky Madness. Young Riaz, if you can you check out Sparky, if you're still here, Young Riaz might still be here. And leave her link down below so that anybody can go check her out. If y'all like her, y'all know, y'all can check her out. If y'all don't like her, y'all can keep moving. Y'all don't got to leave no smart remarks, please. Like, listen, don't do that. If you don't like a certain person's channel, just leave. Just leave. So there is a lot of people out here. It doesn't matter what type of trauma you're going through. It doesn't even have to just be about sexual assault. There's people out here that are recovering addicts and they're really trying to get on their feet because they really care. But people want to pay attention to the ones that don't care and try to help those. But the ones that want the help and are trying to actually change, they say screw those. There's so many ways I can go about this. But today we're talking about sexual assault. Today we're talking about surviving warriors. Today, we're letting people know that whether you're a male, whether you're a female, you can overcome this obstacle. It's not going to be something easy. It's not going to be something fast. It's going to be something that's going to take time. And it's going to take people that actually care about you, that's going to stick around you. Because you're going to have people around you that's going to try to, knock you off your hinges. They're going to try to take you into that dark path, and people fall for it. Don't. You gotta fight. You gotta stand up and keep speaking your truth.
When you speak out and tell your story, you shut down those feelings of shame and guilt. In addition, you lessen the shame and guilt of other survivors by letting them know that they are not alone. If I've inspired any survivors today, please thank me by inspiring others and telling your
Yes.
story. You can reclaim your power from the people.
That's a fact. That's something that I tell everybody. That's the same thing I said when I, did the review on when I did my story, and I spoke to other people. Like, listen, man, I spoke on my story. I said this, and I kind of lashed out the first time I did it. This is the calmest I've ever done it. But back then to now, from 3 years ago to today, yeah, I've become a better person. I've become a better me. Like, I've learned how to block out certain things and ignore certain people, let the right ones in. And at times, I'm not going to lie, I let that shield that I got up a little too low, and somebody walks in without me knowing it, that I have to sit here and I have to kick. I'm like, yo, man, you don't belong here. You is a stranger in my house. I got to sit here and roll you up, like, turn you into a basketball. I'm like, oh, Kobe, shoot you right out the window, right into a trash can. I can't deal with the toxic shit. It's like, you could tell when somebody's toxic. They want you to keep doing the same thing that's hurting you over and over and over again. No, you get tired of that. I don't know. I really don't understand how there's people out here that like that type of stuff. You see people changing, and it's like you want them to go right back. They're so close. They're right there. They've reached the light, but y'all want them to go back. Y'all want to push them back so far. You want them to get chained back up to a bed to the point where now they're reliving their nightmare with Freddie. Now they think that they're at fault. Now they think that they're wrong, and they can't speak up because you feel some type of way. It don't work like that, yo. People should be able to speak up, and others should not judge a book by its cover without sitting here and reading the pages through.
Who have hurt you by telling your story and letting others know that trauma is nothing to be ashamed of. And if you're someone who hasn't experienced trauma, please hear me out. Support those that come forward to you. They have shown extreme courage by speaking out, and they have given you their trust. Be the support that they so desperately need. So many survivors aren't believed when they come forward, and they're not given the resources that they should be. But this can change, and it can start with you. I am a survivor of rape. I say this proudly and unashamed because by reclaiming the things that have happened to me, they no longer have the power to hurt me. Thank you.
Yo, shout out to that young lady for being brave enough. She spoke in front of an audience, and that's not something easy to do. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, the first time that I spoke on my story, I had a couple viewers in there. Like, it wasn't no 50. It wasn't no. I had like maybe 100, 200, 300 between YouTube and Facebook. And when I was telling my story, yo, I was also paying attention to the chat, and it was also getting to my head. The more it got into my head, the more I lashed out even more, because like, I wanted to say stuff to people, but I was letting it all out. Like, man, I've already been bullied on YouTube. I already know what it feels like to be talked about. Man, y'all ain't gonna get in my head no more. But at times it kind of does. Shouldn't, but we let it happen by accident. And But I want y'all to see this video. Now, y'all heard a female's perspective, right? When it comes to surviving sexual assault and stuff like that. As a man, if you've been through sexual assault, you can. Blessings, Sparky Madness. Hold on, let me. No, I can't do it. Can I? Can I check her channel out? Let me see one second. Can I drop her link myself? I don't know if I got any. No, I want to view her channel. Oh, go to channel. Let me see if I could drop your link myself. Copy. Close. Let me see. Sparky Madness. I'm learning. Oh, I don't know if y'all can hit that link, but I'm learning. There you go. So, hey, I can drop a link myself. All right, so there we go. I had to do it straight from over there. All right, but all right. So there are guys out here that go through sexual assault, molestation, and all that, right? And they tell the men that, oh, how is it possible? You know, how can you? You're a man. You should have been able to fight. You should have been able to do this. But yo, like I said, if y'all want to go back a little bit, men do go through it. And what's crazy is that there have been women that have roofied men and have violated them. There have men out here that have overpowered other men and have violated them. There have been a group of men that have sat here and violated one man. And if you like, a lot of men go to jail, a lot of them get violated too if they don't know how to defend themselves. What's crazy is just a man can't get violated the same way a woman can. Why is that so hard for y'all to sit here and believe and understand? Why do y'all make fun of a man that goes through this?
How did I start? Well, I started actually early on in my career because men just started to talk about and women started to talk about being sexual abuse survivors.
I grew up as the only child of two highly dysfunctional alcoholic parents. And I was sexually abused in the home by my father. My mother saw it and did nothing.
Wow. Damn. I wasn't expecting that. I missed that earlier. Because I made it up to like right here, I think. Damn. That's I need to listen to the whole thing. No skipping, no surfing through this. He said his father. Wow. That's crazy.
And walked away from it, and I interpreted that as it being okay. I don't know when it started, but I know it stopped when I was 13.
See, he interpreted it as being okay. When I was going through it and my mom should have, did something, I interpreted it as in, why are you letting him hurt me? This is hurting me. I don't like it. So wow, his father.
He spent a lot of time with me and gave me a lot of attention. So between the ages of 3 and 5, he molested and sexually abused me. And I never told anybody, didn't really know what to do with it. Had a hard time making sense of somebody that I really cared about that showed interest in me doing something that was so hurtful.
I walked in on him while he was masturbating, and he included me in that session. I was under 5.
The minister kind of took me under his wing, and I realize now that it was actually part of probably.
Oh wow, he got sexually assaulted by a minister. So, yo, let me tell y'all something, right? There are a lot of stories out here by females and males, little boys, little girls that have been touched by a priest, by a pastor, by a minister. And for y'all to be like, oh, that's not possible. Listen, man, go out there and look. And there are stories that are fake out there, but y'all can tell which ones are the real ones. Like, stop turning a blind eye to everything. Stop turning all the cheeks that y'all ain't got to turn.
The 2-year grooming process put me in positions in the church of being affirmed and being noticed, and it actually gave opportunities for my dad to be proud of me while I was there. On a weekend,
I'm gonna pause it right here, and anybody that wants to come up, speak on their story, speak their truth, y'all more than welcome. Y'all don't have to go into details, but y'all can, speak on your story, speak your truth, like how you overcame it. Y'all more than welcome to do that. Y'all don't want to come and hit the link, y'all can, let a shorty know. I'll drop the number. I'll open the phone lines up for y'all. But y'all are more than welcome, and y'all could take up advantage when I do these lives like that. If y'all want to come up and, y'all don't feel comfortable anywhere else and y'all just want to let it out, y'all can come and do it. y'all are more than welcome. We're not here to judge. We're not here to bash. We're here to bring solutions to the table and to bring awareness. Nothing more, nothing less.
Camp out, he sexually abused me. And at that point, then I broke away from the church, stopped going. No one asked questions. They just knew that I was, being different, probably attributed to teenage years, that kind of thing.
Around when I was 7, I was molested by my grandfather. He spent, I think it occurred over one summer, as far as I can tell.
I knew it was there. I finally picked it up, made the phone call, and a lady answered the phone, and I was so choked up, I couldn't talk. It's even on the verge of it now as I think of it. And what seemed like 10 minutes, it was probably 10 seconds, but she said, "Sir, whoever you are, stay on the line. I'm stay with you. Do not hang up." I don't even remember her name, but she was one of the angels of my life, because obviously she had experienced this before. And I said, "I need help."
I think that if it hadn't been for my wife, I would not have moved along the process at the rate that I have, which would have robbed me of some really wonderful years ahead. So I don't think that I would be where I am today had she not, been the person to encourage and to offer the support and listen to the stories. And, when I come back from counseling or when I come back from group, she always wants to know how it goes. I don't have to disclose, things that are personal or things that are confidential for the other guys in the group, but she's just always curious about, like, how is it serving me, and how is it, that I'm, where am I in the process? So
The recovery is like uncovering or taking the layers off an onion. It really is. Every time you think you figured something out, something else will pop up, and you can start looking at that and then figure out how to deal with that.
1994 was when we started the Weekends of Recovery program. And from there, we started bringing survivors together in all places around the country, about 5 different places where we bring 28 guys in for a weekend. And we have staff of 8 therapists who worked with these men. And so it was a very intense experience, but really provided a sense of community for these men. So it's been an incredible journey.
And it was amazing to be with a group of people that actually understand what I'm saying without having to.
All right.
When you say you feel shame, these people know what that.
That right there, those are men, right, that are sharing their experience and how they overcame it. And for those of y'all that think that men can't go through these type of experiences, I think y'all need to, take a real good look at life, analyze stuff that's going on around us, and actually see. Because another thing that I also hear is, oh, he must be gay if he was, sexually assaulted. And that's not always the case. It's messed up to say, but no. It's not always the case. When I say messed up to say, it's messed up to hear people think like that. That it's crazy to say this, though, that a lot of these men out here and a lot of these females that, are either dykes or gay, the majority of them aren't even sexually assaulted. They have not been molested or, touched in any type of way. They just like that because that's what they want to be. That's what they choose to be. So a lot of people need to sit here and analyze what they're saying and what comes out their mouth when people are out here speaking on their story and speaking their truth. Like, I don't know why a lot of y'all take things the way it shouldn't be, but hey. But yeah, it's not easy for a lot of these people to, Whoa, what's going on? You froze on me? Yep, it did. All right, let's go on to the next video real quick. And then, before I end the live, I want to show y'all a couple of, people that I do support, people that I think y'all should, go watch if y'all want to watch. If y'all don't, like I said, y'all can keep it moving. Like, I've had people sit here because I have done it in the past by, thinking that it was a good panel, but it ended up being a beef panel. But no, Like, I'm gonna show y'all some good channels that y'all can actually go and watch and, learn something from and build with. So let's watch this right quick.
When I was about 13, 14 years old, I remember coming back from school on the bus, wearing my school uniform, and a man brushed his hands up against my leg and then put his hand in between my legs. I didn't say anything. And that's part of me thinking, this is your fault. I deserve this. I can control the length of my skirt. Maybe it won't happen again. I was first raped when I was a university student. Well, I denied it for a whole year that I'd even got raped, that this had even happened to me. I was able to keep a strong exterior, but that might not have been the most healthy option for me. I was overdue a breakdown. And so when it happened, everyone was like, what? We thought you were successful. You were going to university. You were doing so well. Even if I can go through the normal paces of life, put on a smile and show everyone that I'm happy, I'm successful, I'm doing well, in the back of my head, I feel so sick, ashamed, and
that's how a lot of us go through life. Listen, man, I went a long time thinking like that. And what's crazy is that I was actually making money. I was doing this, but all this money that I was making and all the stuff that I was buying, all this expensive clothes and everything wasn't making me happy. Like getting high, doing this and doing that wasn't making me happy. If anything, it was making me feel worse. Like when I spoke on what happened to me and I actually listened to the advice that was given to me, that's when things started really changing. When I had my firstborn and I started, seeing what it was to be a mother, what it felt like to have actual real love back, that's when I started, really changing. When I lost the people that I cared about the most, that's when I, straightened myself up. When I had my daughter, that's when I sat here and I'm like, yo, no more playing around. Get it together. That's when I got me all the way together. But before that, it was like, an addict when they go through withdrawals. For real. So it's not easy dealing with trauma. And a lot of people out here deal with their trauma in different ways. But it doesn't hurt to sit here and accept help from somebody that really does care about you. What's crazy is when we're going and lashing out and we're ranting and we're doing this, we take the help from the ones that really don't care about us. That's the messed up part about it.
Defined by my experiences. And I think, will there ever be a time that I won't have these nightmares, these flashbacks being triggered? You're transported back to the heart of the event. It can be any small thing that reminds you of it. If it's a loud noise, if it's the feeling of someone accidentally brushing up against you on the tube, and all of a sudden I am reliving it and it is happening to me again. So my body does tense up. I'm cringing with shame and I can taste spit that isn't my own. It makes me want to throw up.
Yep.
I was embarrassed to answer people's questions like, why were you alone at that time of night? Didn't you fight back? What were you wearing? I was always colourful and playful with my fashion and how I dressed. I started to doubt that part of myself. I started to think that I was being provocative. And so that whole part of my identity was taken away from me when I was first raped. I overanalyzed my appearance, from whether I was wearing too much mascara, to how short my skirt was, to whether I looked pretty that day. I need to appear more introverted. I need to appear less interested in men, to stop this from ever happening.
And that's a fact. Let me tell y'all a little bit about how I did it. I went gothic. I started changing. My mom used to always have me in little dresses and stuff like that. I looked like a little church girl and stuff. And I hated it because men's attention will always be towards me. So how I started feeling comfortable about myself was I started dressing like a boy. I still got the tomboyish style. Till this day, I still got the tomboyish style because I feel comfortable. But I dress a little more girlyish now. Back then, it wasn't like that. I would really dress like a boy to the point where you could really sit here and say, yo, like, you could really be confused. Like, is she a dyke? Is she straight? Like, what's up? Like, and I wouldn't get mad because I was comfortable, but not realizing that no matter how I dressed, No matter how I put a cap on or how I put my hair, how, I made myself look, they was going to look at myself. They was going to look at me. They was going to look at me in ways that I didn't want them to look at me. I was going to feel uncomfortable around a lot of men. And I had to change that in me. Like, I had to look at myself in the mirror and accept me for who I was. Love me for who I was. I had to realize, listen, man, you was a young lady. You went through this. You was, made to do things that you didn't want to do. Like, I get that at times you feel like you're dirty. At times you feel like, why wear a dress if it's easy access? What if this happens and you're not able to run away because you got this dress on? Like, yo, listen, man, there's so many reasons why I didn't want to dress like a girl. And I thought that dressing like a boy would change so many things. And as I got older, dressing like a boy didn't matter to a lot of these nasty old men out here that, were lusting over these little girls. It didn't matter because I guess the more, how can I say it? The more heavier my clothes was, the more boyish I looked, the more they try to picture how I was underneath my clothes. And that's the crazy part. And I didn't learn that until I was older. I didn't learn that until I started really listening to my therapist, and I went under the wing of my baby pops, my daughter's father. And I was 21 years old. That's what's crazy. Regardless of anything, no matter what you put on, these men are going to try to picture you any way possible, especially when they thirsty out here. Old, young, it doesn't matter. So it's just, you have to feel comfortable yourself in your own skin, in your own body. You have to feel comfortable with the way you look. I stopped worrying when I had my daughter. And I had to sit here, I'm like, yo, I don't want her to feel the way I feel, and it's not something that she went through. I can't not have her thinking the way I think when she didn't even go through none of this. All I could do is sit here and watch, observe, protect, explain things to her when she asks us the questions, guide her, be a mother and be that friend when she needs that, that listening ear. Like, that's all I could do. But I didn't want my daughter to turn into me, so I had to change so many things about me. And I had to relearn myself and figure out who I was. And what's crazy is, a lot of y'all gonna think I'm crazy looking into that little girl. Watching her, she does all the things that I used to do when I was little. I'm like, yo, that's the purest version of me. The purest version of me right now, walking right next to me. And what's crazy is she wants to be just like me. Loves her dad. Wants to be like her dad, but she wants to be exactly like me. Like, Mom, I want to grow up. I want to be a chef. I want to play basketball. I want to be a doctor. She wants to be everything. Like, I'm saying, I'm like, yo, she has her childhood. Her childhood wasn't taken like mine. Her innocence hasn't been taken. I can't sit here and keep behaving the way I'm behaving and thinking the way I'm thinking. I cannot give her, pass on to her what was done to me. My trauma, the trauma that runs through my DNA cannot get passed on to her. I'm breaking that cycle. I'm figuring out how to do things. We cannot stay stuck in that past, because if we don't find a way out of it, we're going to drown in it and we're going to die with it. Being miserable, unhappy. And there were so many times where, I would have to sit here and fake a smile. I could sit here and honestly say that no more. I don't have to go out there and fake that smile, make the world think I'm okay when I'm not. I don't have to sit here and push so many people away when they're trying to help me and I'm thinking they're not. Because there was a point in time where I was taking all the help from the ones that didn't give about me and pushed away all those that were climbing mountains to help me. It's crazy because yes, is that you would think they're family. No, at times it could be a complete stranger. People get mad at me and they be like, yo, blood is supposed to be thicker than water. Water is thicker than blood to me. You can't get mad at me for my opinion, for what, if I've experienced. If, blood is thicker than water to you, then that's what it is. You've had a good family. I can't knock you down for that. You can't knock me down because I think that the family that I've created is my family. That's what they are. They've been there for me. They love me like if they, they were my brothers or my sisters. I've had old heads take me under their wing and love me like if they was my mom or my dad. Real shit. And I wish that back then I would have known that all these people that are still right here standing next to me after the treatment that I gave them, they're here. They didn't walk away. They didn't give up. They're right here. Even when I was going through what I was going through trying to help my baby dad, and I'm talking about the father of my first 2 kids. I got 3 kids. 2 of them, their father is deceased. They got the same father. My last child, her father's right there with her every step of the way. We co-parent. We're together. We do everything together. That's my best friend, my fiance, everything. And can't nobody take that out my head, because at the end of the day, listen, we've been through so much. We've been through so much that this would be the man right here that I give my life to, because he's been there. He's rocked out for me. He's shown me that not every man is the same. For real. And if, listen, you got to treat men the same way you want to be treated. And I'm not saying treat a man like a woman. What I'm saying is, listen, man, treat others the same way you want to be treated. If you treat a man the same way you want to be treated, this man is going to roll down the carpet for you. But if you're sitting here and having him pay for somebody else's mistake, this man is going to sit here and give you back what you're giving him. And I've learned that through 2 men in my life that I've been with and I had kids with. I wish I would have known that completely in my first, relationship, my first time that I was with somebody, first time when I had kids with this person, that no, you don't do what your parents did. You don't do what you see your friends' moms do out here, scream and shout at the nigga because they mad at him or because they went through this, do that, make him go through it. No. If he's a good man, treat him as a good man. Like if you're a good woman, you want this man to treat you as a good woman. That's what I'm saying. I've learned a lot from my past, where others are still trying to sit here and be like, oh no, it's his fault. It's his fault. Not everybody's to blame because of what you went through. It's not everybody's fault. Not everybody was there. Like I said, we have to learn how to love ourselves first. We have to accept ourselves, accept the body that we're in. We went through that, yes. We went through that trauma, and we had to figure out ways on how to overcome all them obstacles that came along the way, because a lot of people, we hurt in the process. We didn't want to, but we did, because we was hurting. And that's why I said, when we have the memories that we sat here and we thought we forgot about, or you went to a therapist and, they sat here and they helped you forget about it, and then out of nowhere, out of the blue, these things just come because it was triggered by some event that you just went through. Y'all don't know how that feels. Because when you're going through a panic attack, it actually feels, them thoughts that are going through your heads, they feel so real. I don't know if anybody's actually ever had a real panic attack out here, but I've had them. I had a whole bunch of them. And I've learned how to overcome them panic attacks with no medication, no nothing. I'm literally like, I get them and I know how to sit here and deal with them. Like now I don't gotta, I'm stripping. I'm feeling like I'm dying. My heart's coming out my chest, sweat everywhere. I'm sitting here trying to process the thoughts in my head. The first time I ever went through a panic attack, my brother was there. I didn't know what was going on. I'm sitting, I'm screaming, I'm shouting. Half the stuff that I did and said, I don't remember. But what I do remember is I sat here and I don't know why, but I took my clothes off. I told my brother that I couldn't breathe. I told my brother I was dying. I needed air. I opened up the window. I was about to jump out that window. My brother touched me from my back. I was like, yo, get away from me. Don't touch me. I was kicking. I was fighting him. He's like, yo, it's me, sis. I promise you. I promise you. My brother's trying to calm me down. And I'm in my head still because it feels real. It feels real. So I understand where a lot of people come from when they talk, and they say this and they say that. I don't judge this book by its cover. I don't judge people because a lot of people are the way they are because of something they've been through, something they still probably don't even know how to deal with. But there's people out here that I could be very honest about and say that they don't want the help. They want to keep going through that pain. They want to be miserable. They don't want to change, no matter if they got people that care about them. That's the messed up part about it. The trauma is real. And there are survivors out here that can speak on a story that can help the next person. You never know how your story can impact the next person.
Again. All that effort I spent analysing every detail of my being, none of it kept me safe. It happened again. I was raped for the second time. Because it is toxic for victims to believe that there is something about them that made and makes them justified targets. It can happen even if you're wearing a winter coat and a big jumper, which I was. Whatever you wear, however you look, however you talk to men, you don't deserve it, and you can't predict.
Like I just said earlier, I had to realize that it doesn't matter what you wear or how you make yourself look. If a man is a sexual deviant, he's a sexual deviant.
I actually kept my outfit from my first rape. In the back of my wardrobe, there was that not too mini skirt and that strappy top. One day I saw the outfit and I thought, I love that outfit. Why didn't I put it back on again? PTSD changed who I am. It changes my physical reactions. It changes how I feel about things. To be able to dress how I used to do before my rapes and before my sexual assaults feels great because I am myself again. I've learned from therapy, grounding techniques, what can I see around me that's beautiful? What is the brightest, craziest color?
And that's a fact, because it took me a minute. And these videos are on Google. For those of you that, want to check them out, they are on Google. You can search tips for someone who has, survived a sexual assault. And all these videos will pop up. It's so many ways we could overcome these obstacles, guys. Like, don't stay stuck because somebody made you feel some type of way. Screw that person. If this person can't give you an advice that can help you, leave them where they at. Leave them right there in the past. They don't belong nowhere near around you or in your life. But on that note, I hope that I was able, to get people to understand where I was coming from with this live. I hope that I was able to help a couple people out there with this live. And I hope that, more people speak up. Don't shut yourself down. Don't put that shield down like a lot of us did. Like, put it up when you have to. You're going to get that feeling. As a survivor, as a surviving warrior, deep down you get this feeling. And you could tell when somebody's good, and you could tell when somebody's bad. You could tell when somebody's perverted or, creep. Like, listen, man, listen to your gut. Your gut's not going to lie to you. Your heart, your eyes, and your mind at times could lie to you. But your gut's not going to lead you in the wrong way or in the wrong direction. Let me see. All right, guys. We share this, maybe.